primaries. We're talking about 2020. We're talking about who's in. We have 2 names so far as of, I believe it was yesterday. Congressman Eric Swalwell from the East Bay, he actually announced, and I believe it was on Stephen Colbert's show, that he is an official candidate, an official name now in the primary race. So what do you guys think about that? Do you think we're going to have our
You're talking about the presidential primary?
Yes, presidential.
Oh, not the primary to take his seat. Because
No.
there are 7 people already announced for that.
That's a,
I'm announcing on this show.
are you? I think Rob,
You can take the train to his district.
Yeah. You actually can.
That's going to be a hot one to follow too. We'll continue to do that one and put input in there as well. As far as the announcement goes, obviously Kamala Harris is the other candidate. She seems to be extremely loved here in California by many. Bay Area, obviously Bay Area name.
Look, I mean, yeah, right. So California has early primary. We'll be in March of 20, so we're on Super Tuesday. So it's made California much more important. Harris doesn't, Californians just don't have that much relationship with their politicians because they're such a large nation state.
Right.
It kind of goes in hand with what we were saying about Gavin's numbers. People are somewhat ambivalent. I mean, all the polling suggests that voters in California are a little ambivalent about Kamala Harris. I mean, they're interested in seeing the broader field. But she does have some type of advantage here for the primary, right? Because she's been elected here, so there's something to that. But she really had a great first quarter.
Yeah, her fundraising's through the roof.
Well, it's good. Yeah, I mean, her fundraising is good. She raised
no
$12 million. It's no
God.
burning. It's no.
Please get him out of
It's
this.
no beta.
I'm sick of him.
Such a generational perspective. But Harris has a nice balance to her fundraising, where she
Right.
did about $6 million online grassroots. She's also building institutional fundraising, which is about the other half. She had a great rollout. She looked presidential when she gave that speech to 20,000 people in Oakland back in January. She's had some trips and missteps, a couple, but nothing that's all that destabilizing. So I think she had a great first quarter.
Is she a capitalist?
Well, this is I don't think she's willing to say.
Yeah.
I mean, the
That is
Democrats
idiotic.
were willing to say
That
they're
is
capitalists.
idiotic.
So John Hickenlooper.
We are capitalists here.
You need to get in the field and pull it towards the center, man.
There you go.
John Hickenlooper, who is a capitalist entrepreneur, that's how he made his money, former governor of Colorado, unwilling to say he's a capitalist. Bit of a silly season.
Well, we just got you to say that you're pro-environment and
Stupider than-
climate
He didn't
change,
say
so-
that. He just said he believes there
it.
is global warming.
Oh.
He didn't.
There's
That's
climate
all.
change. Climate
Baby
change.
Excuse me.
steps.
Climate
Because it's
change.
been cold all
Baby
winter.
steps.
It wasn't
steps.
warmer.
It's just
No, it
raining.
has been
It's
cold.
raining. El Nino.
See, that's kind of a microaggression towards Republicans to just assume that all of us.
Affect their wallets and they will be believers.
He thinks
instantly.
climate change happened because they raised the minimum wage. That's what it is.
I like the fact that Rob's talking about microaggression. That seems like a liberal
Even
type
that's
concern.
a little enlightening.
You're
right?
Right?
to
Yes.
one direction,
Right.
he's going to the other.
Well,
You guys
And I
might meet in
resisted
the middle.
pointing out that all that electricity that Rob saw in China is generated by coal. I didn't say that. So I held that back.
Yeah.
Well, skipping forward though, how does Harris actually play nationally? I mean,
There's one more candidate from California that no one's talking about.
Exactly.
who is that?
Gavin Newsom.
You think he's gonna throw his name in the hat for 2020?
No, going to El Salvador, taking on national issues, taking on the president. No.
I don't think 2020. If anything, maybe 2024. I don't see 2020 being the one. He's just so new in his current position. And like you said, the polls, like you said, there's some major issues. You don't just go jumping from this to that when you haven't resolved. People want to see resolution.
Especially a first-term senator from a small state like Illinois.
Yeah. Well,
Obama's a unicorn.
there is a unicorn.
Bury
But then-
Obama.
But Gavin does have the Kennedy effect in some circles too. So we'll see. That's what they say. That's what they say.
Trademark.
I mean, that's what I'm hearing too. But going back really quickly, 2 candidates. We talked about Kamala Harris. One thing I wanted to ask you actually, Rob, was do you believe that she even has a chance to go up against Trump if it gets to that point?
Look, I mean, and I'm happy to point out what I think are the flaws. I think she was actually overly cautious and not all that impressive when she was Attorney General of California. But I think she's built to win the Democrat nomination process because she can directly appeal to the women base in the party as well as African American. The other candidates who haven't had good quarters was the other African American candidate, Cory Booker, and most of the other women in the race. So the natural advantages as a female, black female, really could play to her. Then she's doing all the other things to build a real juggernaut type of campaign. And absolutely she could beat Donald Trump. The thing to remember is there's kind of this notion that the Democrats need some type of white moderate to win the upper Midwest. That's kind of the Joe Biden theory. Uncle Joe can talk to those disaffected white guys that voted, for Donald Trump.
And white women.
Well, that's part, and so that might work. That's fine. But what really happened in those upper Midwest states is that Hillary Clinton lost because urban voters, a lot of black voters, didn't vote in states like Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Michigan. So it's almost on the natural that a Democrat should be able to beat Trump in those states again, because again, he didn't win them.
What about all the Russian voters?
Yeah.
The Russians, but who's quickly being registered in Michigan?
Where are they registering this time?
Right.
That's what
But
I'm
who's
wondering.
leading the polls now with African voters right now? Joe Biden.
Yeah, Joe
Joe
Biden.
Biden. But Joe Biden's leading with all categories at the
Yeah.
moment, right? So I just at the end of the,
Harris.
South Carolina
That's
is
the
very
ticket.
important in the map.
That's a powerful duo.
That's the
But
ticket.
what about Eric? I mean, Eric's been in the news. Swalwell, our
Secretary of
what about
Like,
Eric?
Well, I mean, he just announced
that might-
he's been raising money. He's been going to Iowa. He's been doing a bunch of things. We can't discredit his, growth. He's on the CIA committee, Judiciary Committee. He's been involved in a lot of the major. I mean,
Fangirl.
I mean, he's no Pete Buttigieg, but
Oh,
But
that's
Bay
who we need to be
Area,
talking about.
yeah.
A gay, ex-military, eloquent candidate.
He is
Also
the most interesting
unelectable
new
on a
candidate.
national scale.
But I mean, this kind of makes
You said he's.
But that's why
You said he's
he's
ex-gay
right?
and
Right.
ex-military.
No, he's former military. He's gay.
Oh, okay.
Not
He's
ex-
eloquent.
Got it.
he's the mayor of the
Ex-gay,
city the same size
ex-military.
as Fair Oaks.
Yeah, well, he's
But it doesn't
Probably one of the most
matter.
well-spoken.
Sometimes- Yeah.
But he is in a city that's very, very, very Catholic.
Yes.
Very, very
It's interesting.
pro-life.
Well, he's been the most interesting candidate.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
yeah, but he's not electable at a national level.
I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that.
I do.
I think
And
I think it'd be
If
fascinating.
somebody ran his story and pumped him up and put there could be a very
I'm telling
fascinating
you that
story. I have to
he
agree with
he
Sessom.
has
Democrats like that shit.
he
Yes,
is the most
Republicans
he-
hate that shit.
Yeah, but it's
Here's
about
what's
the
here's what's
Democrats
going
who take
unnoticed. He has the most genuine faith story of any candidate running. So who won the evangelicals in 1976? Not the Republican. It was Jimmy Carter, because he had the more compelling personal faith story than President Ford did. Even though he had come to a Christian faith, he was just very private about it. I'm telling you, there is something that culturally Mayor Pete turned on its head. If somehow he is the nominee,
That
to
would
go
be
right at the evangelical base,
But he's losing the
Christian
USC
base
vote,
of
right?
Trump. Well, the USC vote, you can only get the USC vote if you pay $50,000 per voter in order to get access to the USC vote.
That's a Notre Dame USC thing.
The college thing.
Oh.
Aunt Becky, R.I.P.
Speaking of current issues, yeah. But do you guys believe that Trump is actually potentially going to lose 2020, or do you think he has a very good chance of winning? Because I'm hearing both sides, and I've heard. I mean, you'd be crazy to try to run against him in 2020 because it seems like he still has, a lot of favoritism backing him up. People voted for him. Those people, you don't think they're going to show up and vote for him again?
Well, they might, but again, I go back to it's about who didn't show up to vote for
Right.
her.
Yeah.
Those voters are going to show up, and in most likelihood, are going to show up and vote for the Democrat. Here, let me put it in perspective. Mitt Romney got more votes in Wisconsin and lost to Barack Obama than Donald Trump got,
Right.
and beat Hillary Clinton.
Didn't turn
I
out.
can't say that Hillary lost.
But
He
she's
didn't
still,
win.
He
that's a
didn't
little
win.
slippery slopey because she had 3 million more votes in general.
No, but the
Well, no,
problem
it's
in
called
the
the
big
In the
electoral
big
college.
states where she
That's still a thing, right?
It's
That's
still
still
a
a
thing.
thing.
It
It's
was
still
the
a
undervote.
constitution.
But I think that just sort of suggesting, and she's a very polarizing candidate, there's no doubt about it.
Right.
She campaigned poorly in states that she needed to do better in, no doubt about it. However, there's a lot of people that deny about how much they actually truly support Donald Trump. When they were polled, there was no way he could have won. There was no way they was going to vote for them.
Such a
So
shock.
I'm not. I sort of tend to believe this Joe Biden theory that we need an older white guy that can play in those middle states in order to compete with Trump. Because
Don't
I
get me
actually
wrong.
think his base is a lot more there's a lot more of it than we know because they're
We
willing
need
to admit it in
Democrats to
polls.
vote. If Democrats vote, Democrats win. If Democrats don't vote, we don't.
So do
We
Democrats
allowed
have
Donald
to-
Trump to win the election.
Democrats have to show up, be excited. They got to have the Obama factor.
Like in
they say,
18,
like,
we showed
they
up.
have to have that excitement.
Well, Trump is the
around
Obama factor, right?
candidate.
People
Yeah,
are so
that's good.
upset
It's different
that they're going to come
dynamic
out to vote
because-
against
yeah.
Trump.
Right, but my point is
Right.
the Democrats need somebody who they're super excited and they're going to actually cheerlead
We
around.
have to fall in love.
Actually,
we don't fall in line.
they need
And
someone
not
they're just
segregated.
okay with.
At this point.
At this point, they're
But
going to come
couldn't
out and
that-
vote against
But
Trump.
couldn't that person
So
we
in other
love be the
words,
VP?
Hillary, please don't run again.
Well, couldn't that somebody
not
we
running.
love be the VP? Meaning, if it is a Biden, couldn't we have the energy like the Harris?
There's
the
never been
Booker?
energy in the VP in the history
Well,
of the United
but-
States.
Well, Sarah Palin injected a lot of energy into that VP race. She
They
did.
called her what?
She garnered a lot of
But
headlines.
not vice
Did
president.
they win?
they
Was
did.
she vice president?
But again, the unicorn.
No.
The
Look, but this is what
unicorn.
Harris. I think Harris is on the ticket either way. Gotten to this point.
I do too. I do too.
That would be an interesting one to see who the
The
other.
Buttigieg Harris.
But the thing that we're not talking about too is the potential Bernie spoiler, which I do think also affected Hillary's
Yeah,
loss.
yeah.
I really do. We're not talking about that.
Yeah.
I mean, Bernie stayed in the race
Separately.
way too long,
Yeah.
and frankly, split a lot
I
of
think
the
he's
party
still
So
vote.
is the
in it.
Democratic
Well, he's-
Party going to get?
Yeah, he hasn't conceded.
Are they going to? Did they learn from that lesson?
No, because he's right back in it.
But my point is that's the problem. If
Right.
the Democrats come together and unite on their candidates early on, that's when I think.
But that wouldn't
we
be
have a chance,
democratic
a
of
good
us.
Is
chance.
Bernie the candidate? Could he be the candidate this year?
I don't know
He
if
could be,
Bernie-
and that's Trump's
Bernie-
best chance.
I don't know if Bernie has the same dynamics as he had in 2016. 16,
Good point.
he was the alternative.
Timing.
There are 17 other alternatives now,
And counting.
and counting.
We
yeah.
haven't even talked about Beto and his Beto-gasms.
Well,
Yeah, and
Texas.
Beto's
is
real. And let me tell you, he has beautiful teeth. You know, I know that because I saw his
Because
demo
he,
with
because
him.
he, yeah, he live
Do
streamed it.
people vote on beautiful teeth? Like, is that a
Well,
thing?
I
We
don't know.
may find out this year, and Bernie better hope not.
In the end, if Democrats vote, Democrats win.
Non-fluoride state.
This is like a tax session. Who's next? Who's next? Who else
Well,
do you wanna
here's
take on?
here's a great way to wrap this up. You desperately tried to get us to talk about Eric Swalwell,
Yeah.
and we never really did.
No, I just.
Which, you know, great, maybe
It's not-
maybe a great guy, but I think that kind of sums up.
He's
the-
a wonderful guy,
Look,
but he'll be a great
it's-
lobbyist on K Street.
It's not that. It's not. It's the.
I'll make my money.
The point of it is to see who the
Definitely make more
candidates
money.
are, who's being backed, and who has a chance to go up against Trump. Because there is a Trump factor here at the end of the day, and it just gets more exciting as the days go by, as we know who the new candidates are. And
Secretary
there are going to be
Swalwell.
a handful of folks who are
Right.
going to throw their names in the hat as we get closer. Or some maybe even folks we don't even maybe
I want you to tell me the
Consider.
Republicans that are going to run.
against Trump.
Well,
Yeah.
that would be interesting if a Kasich
Governor
or even
of
a Romney
Maryland.
I wouldn't rule
got
that
back
out.
in
well-
an inter-party challenge. That would be
Governor
really
of Maryland's running.
Governor Weld is running.
Really?
But, you know, he left the Republican Party to be a libertarian 4 years ago. You know, look, Governor Hogan in Maryland obviously has been approached and is kind of kicking the tires on it.
You don't think Kasich? Maybe?
Kasich.
Kasich, if Kasich goes, it's a disaster. You can't run somebody who has spent 4 years scolding Republicans, or the last 3 years scolding Republicans for voting for Trump.
Maybe that should be the Democrats.
Why would you ever vote
to
for that
throw in
guy?
a Republican to blow up the whole?
The problem is Kasich would have to be the
Right.
one-on-one with the
That'd be
president,
strategic.
and it never works. Taking out a sitting incumbent president is no small thing.
Well, I think
but
it's
it's Donald
virtually
Trump.
impossible. Yeah, I think someone may run, but it'll be more about
Even Reagan
setting
couldn't
the
be
tone
forward.
for what's next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It was
there you
Ronald
go.
Reagan.
You heard it from the five. The
Saint
banter
Ronald.
continues, and as we keep checking out what's happening here in Sacramento, across the state, as well as on the national front when it comes to other candidates who might be throwing their hats in. I don't know. Fong was whispering earlier on that he might be the next one too. We'll see. But Stutzman
Rob,
said
we'll be
it was
Rob
a
and
duo,
Rob.
Rob and Rob.
Don't
All
you
right.
change.
Right?
We might start a whole
We
new
need some more
campaign here
Chinese
without even
candidates.
realizing.
Hey, I'm down.
Thanks
Thank
for the
you.
ads and follows.
Very
This
down.
is
Thank you.
behind the scenes with SacTown5. We're going to be doing these on a monthly
Andrew?
basis. Please add us on YouTube,
Shane?
social media. And again, thanks for the support. And you got the five. Rob, Patrick, Dan, and we're out.